Get in here, Paul. You know I can't do this by myself.
That's it. Get me in my hole. In my hole.
Ladies and gentlemen of Hashtag Nation and Bills Mafia, welcome to the Hashtag Sports presentation of the Buffalo Bills versus the New England Patriots postgame, sponsored by Mr. Rogers Homes in association with DeanBlundell.com. You can find all of our socials, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook in our link tree, as well as iTunes and Spotify. The Buffalo Bills finally winning a game in Week 13 in the division.
Yeah, about damn time. It was like a fucking Lizzo song in here. About damn time.
In a minute, I'm gonna need Josh Allen ice his elbow for the rest of the day. Okay, that's enough of that. I'm not doing it anymore. As we always decide to do at the beginning of the game, first of all, apparently as a defensive back, you're not allowed to hit receivers at all.
Dude, we got to just pause on that one. That will never be a penalty to me. I don't care. That will never be a penalty to me.
It was the sound. It was the sound that gave them the penalty. Because it was
also helmet down, helmet down to the shoulder, right? They're like a shoulder to the neck area. Like, come on, man. You know what? Ejection, but Jacoby Myers had caught that football. So
yeah, he would have caught it. Exactly. And so Paul, obviously after that, just the initial thoughts on the game. I think our thoughts on this game might be a little different tonight, but I'm very curious to get what your thoughts were on the Buffalo Bills performance tonight.
So, remember back when you used to be worried about the games being at Foxborough? That's not a thing anymore. Now, is it?
No, it is not a thing anymore.
It's not. And I've heard that from you for years. Oh, the Patriots at Foxborough, that's going to be a tough game. It's like, no, not anymore. It's just we're past that, right? We're past that. And is Matt Patricia one of the worst offensive coordinators in football?
Probably one of the only coaches in the NFL currently that wishes they were still in Detroit.
Watching Mac Jones just suffer all game, just suffer. Not because the Bills were putting immense amounts of pressure on him, but you could just tell he just doesn't see it, right? His receivers are all over the place. It's just a mixed bag. It just doesn't look like there's any chemistry with any receiver. If you're not named Ramondre Stevenson, you're just not involved in the offense. They paid $100 million to two tight ends. I think got 4 targets tonight. Come on, you got to be better.
It is definitely not good. Plus, Paul, I mean, I got to show this. I definitely got to show this. This is currently on Twitter. If you guys can mouth that, I throw the effing ball. The effing running game sucks.
But as he's sitting down, he shows fuck again. Fuck. The meatloaf. Fuck.
I could bathe in that for all of Friday because that is freaking amazing. I mean, we take, obviously, Bills Mafia, Hashtag Nation, we take a little bit more, there's a little bit more sauce when it comes to when the Buffalo Bills beat the Patriots. However, it's, I will quote Ray Routh, obviously DPN Ray, celebrating a victory over the Patriots isn't punching up anymore. It's punching down.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
This was a division win. You had to have it. You beat a team. It was an ugly game. Mike Tomlin always says people are so concerned with style points in the NFL. This is the point in the NFL season where you have to add layers and dimensions to your offense or your defense. And the Buffalo Bills over the last 3 games, in specific, maybe the Josh Allen injury made them do this, but they seem like they have a little bit more layers. And what they showed tonight is, hey, if we want to run the ball and keep the ball for 9 minutes straight on a drive and score a touchdown, we're going to do that too.
So you're saying that the Bills are like an ogre? They have layers.
They have layers. They have.
You do not do a good Shrek impression.
They stink. They stink. No,
It just
they
sounds
make
like
you
Mario
cry.
Granada after getting his wisdom teeth taken out.
It
That's your
100% is,
impersonation.
minus the ice cream. I definitely need it. No, but what I'm saying, you get my point that like over the last few seasons, we've seen the Buffalo Bills week 11, week 12, week 13. They've added new dimensions to their offense and gave it a spark. Devin Singletary was last year, the year before. They started doing more things, spreading the ball around to Beasley and whatnot. But now this year, it seems like James Cook, if the kid can stay on his freaking feet, he's like he trips over the yard markers every time when he's running. But getting the kid, I mean, let's just talk about that for a second. Getting the kid 20 touches for 105 yards, not a break. I don't think anybody would call this a breakout game because it didn't have all the flash and pizzazz and everything. But what do you think about Cooks' performance tonight?
You know, one thing that I liked, and I mentioned this with Joe during the during the halftime show, was in the first half we saw different personnel packages that I was really, really excited about. Right, so I'm really excited to see John Brown back in the football field because I think adding him really creates a personnel wrinkle that you were missing. Right. So I'm excited to see John Brown back. I don't know if he'll be a major contributor. It doesn't really matter whether he's a major contributor. The fact is that from a personnel package standpoint, he's important to have on the field. But I think we'll probably talk about that in just a few minutes.
Yeah.
I saw Cook and Naeem Hines on the field together, and they kept running these jet sweep looks with Naeem Hines in the first half. And they ran similar looks with McKenzie in the second half, but Hines didn't touch the ball in any of those looks. So I'm curious what they're setting up, right? Because to have dual back looks, we've seen him do it once and it didn't go well. And then now we're seeing Hines in the slot running those jet looks with Cook already on the field. They're setting something up. I don't know what it is, but they're setting something up somewhere.
I like where your head's at, that they might be setting something up, because what was great about this game tonight, and as being as sloppy as it was, and I want to say sloppy, guys, don't get me wrong. One turnover doesn't mean the game was sloppy. I'm just saying that it was one of those ugly games that had to have happened, that you had to have. You know what I mean? Buffalo Bills went there, were not threatened at all. Even when they were down, it was like, okay, we're fine. We're gonna run the ball. We're gonna control the clock. We're gonna force Mac Jones to pass the ball in this game. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna stick to that. I think the initial formation of the two-back set was to see how Brown and Quisenberry were doing with Judon and Wise and Uche. You know what I mean? I think that was it, because if they had to have them chip, you got two more guys in the backfield to help Allen and protect Allen. And then when they realized that they're kind of holding their own, let's see what else we can do. Let's give a couple looks here and there. And then after that, it was clear sailing. But I think initially what they wanted to do is they wanted to try to provide Allen with as much protection as possible while giving other teams, hey, they got a split back look with these two speedsters back there. What the hell are they going to do, you know?
Right.
And they didn't show anything. They didn't show you anything that they were going to do.
No. Well, and I think from a defensive side, right, Mac Jones was running around asking the ref to blow the whistle, in the fourth quarter. blow the whistle.
Blow the whistle.
But what got me, and it's so hard for me to watch Mac Jones play football because he just looks so labored in everything he does, right? He's just not a smooth athlete, and everything he does looks so labored. And you could just tell his receivers are just doing whatever they do, and there's no chemistry there, and it's hard football to watch, man. But one sack on Mac Jones, that's a problem for me, right? Because you've got another 3 weeks.
Did he have?
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, right. No, I understand, right?
Yeah.
But you're not exactly going against quarterbacks that are going to sit. Like, again, I expect to see Mike White, and I think Buffalo will get after Mike White. But you've got Tua after that, right? So I'm just saying that when Vaughn goes on the IR and misses the next 4 games, right? 1. So he's got another 3 games to miss after this. And you're looking at divisional games. And this is kind of the stuff that I'm a little worried about. I was hoping to see Buffalo come away with 3-4 sacks. I know the pass rush was there, but that offensive line is bad, right? They are bad. And I was hoping to see Mac Jones toss to the ground a little bit more, right? If maybe just for me, right? Maybe that's just for me.
Yeah, I
But
understand that.
but looking at you got 2 more division games coming. You got to walk away with those. The pass rush, while they were effective today, I don't know how sustainable that is, right? And I guess that's kind of where I sit. And you know what? I'm going to give the Iron Nuts Award to Quisenberry, man. That guy had an entire roll of duct tape on his ankle holding it together. And he
Oh
just
my God.
kept walking back out there. Good for Quisenberry, man. Good for Quisenberry.
For those of you that don't know, there used to be an award we used to hand out on the podcast days. We had the Steel Nuts Award
That's
winner.
right.
Yeah, and Paul just resurrected it out of nowhere. Like he says, he doesn't remember anything. This is crazy. No, but I think it's always going to be game plan specific, and what I mean by that is, for hashtag Nation, I think you guys know this. You want to get Mac Jones isn't a runner, so all you have to do is just try to get him off his spot. So they were probably taking lanes and angles that were just let's just try to get Mac off his spot. We're going to force him to try to beat us, and we have to get him off his spot. I think when you start playing those quarterbacks that are a little bit more mobile now, Mike White has a very limited book on him. Tua does have a book. If he starts scrambling, then you're getting a lot of trouble, because those receivers breaking free a lot different than New England's receivers breaking free. So
Right.
right. That being said, I think it was specific where they said, listen, can we get there with 4 without Von Miller? And they were able to, albeit against a very, very poor offensive line. The offensive line for the Bills was giving me a little bit more concern, with Quisenberry, even though he was trying to gut it out. They brought Hart in a couple times for those heavy sets to try to run the ball, which I thought was great. And all it did was push Judon further down the line. And that's what I loved about it. It was Judon was the number one guy in that defense that you had to fear. And they ran away from him. They tried doing things to chip him.
Yeah.
They had Dawson Knox on his side because they couldn't put it on Quisenberry's side. Even though I saw him over there a few times. But what I like is Jordan, this is the old high school I used to teach at. So
I left that up just till you saw it. Yeah, there you go.
I caught it. I answered him in the chat, but that being said, I think what Buffalo did was they came in with a specific game plan, and if it worked, they stayed with it. If it didn't, they changed it, something I haven't seen recently out of them, especially Dorsey. I mean, I've seen Frazier do it, but Dorsey hasn't done it.
Right.
I think
good growth game, man. This was a good growth game.
I pissed off. Well, I'll say it's hashtag After Dark. I pissed off some Patriots fans by tweeting out the touchdown pass that Allen threw to Gabe Davis. I was like, guys, you guys do know that's Josh Allen just effing with you guys right now. Like he we're gonna beat you. We don't care. We don't care.
I got to be honest. That and the shovel pass that he threw, right? Both of those are just like they're just vomit moments for me. Where like that shovel pass he throws over a defender, like oh, great. And then that next pass, the touchdown they throws to Gabe Davis. There were 3 corners there. They were just standing there watching the play. Just standing there watching it. Like, oh, look at that. Did he throw that? He was out of bounds, right?
Dude, he literally just jump in the air off of one foot, throw it across his body back into the end zone. But
again, I think this is a good game because Buffalo, and they lost tempo in the offense for a little bit. Great comment that I just had up on the screen from Min Pin Papa. Which there were times where Josh was forcing passes again, right?
He did.
And it was after the script. And we've seen this before with this offense. Once you get off script, those next couple drives, they're not always perfectly put together. Josh Allen did an interview with Ryan Fitzpatrick that is on the Bills PR Twitter handle. And he even admits that when you change offensive coordinators, sometimes it takes a while to learn that language, right? Because you as a quarterback need to make the decision that the offensive coordinator would make if he were playing quarterback. And that takes time, right? To have that understanding and have that relationship, while Dorsey and Allen have it as quarterbacks coach. It's a little bit different when Dorsey's the play caller, right? I think, again, they're still struggling a little bit with that. A couple series looked like that today, but they got back on track. And I didn't think they would have the huevos to just run the football all day. Belichick was going to just let you take 4 yards of carry. That was the plan, because I don't think they'll run it all day. And, kudos to Buffalo, right? Because you put on the ground 132 yards in total. Only 20 of them were Josh Allen. You know?
Yeah, you had a total of 37 carries.
Yeah. Right. You know what's wild to me? I don't know if I've ever seen this before. Josh Allen had a multiple sack game for 0 yards lost.
Really?
Yeah, 2 sacks, no yards. Isn't that weird?
That is actually little odd. Yeah, and I'm just seeing this the Josh Allen wearing the Tom Brady jersey is floating around the internet now.
Well, Allen was wearing Ryan Fitzpatrick jersey during warmups today.
He was.
He was, yeah. And Ryan Fitzpatrick said that Stephon Diggs might be the best number 14 the Bills have ever had. Might be.
If Ryan Fitzpatrick and Marshawn Lynch aren't national treasures, I don't know if I can be friends with anybody that doesn't say that.
Oh, DF forever. I'd like to talk about Edmonds. We're gonna have to pay this dude next year. Listen, Tremaine Edmonds makes 2 bone-shaking tackles, right? And Twitter explodes about how you have to pay him.
Mm-hmm.
I understand. It's exciting, right? It's really exciting. He's $100+ million player upon resigning. So if you are good to do that, then just remember you're putting a lifespan on Gabe Davis, on Ed Oliver, on you're re-signing Deion Dawkins. You're probably cutting Von Miller's contract a little short because Matt Milano becomes a possible casualty as far as not being able to re-sign him. Like I'm just saying that there's a lot.
He has 2 voided years built in already,
right? But
that's you can go back on.
You could, right? But it does take a while. Those voided years take away a little restructure flexibility, right? Because you have to extend the contract. You can't restructure it. But, it's just one of those things where while it's exciting and while he does allow, while Milano allows him to play free, right?
Yes.
I don't know if I want to pay a player that much money when they require another player to allow them to play free. Right. Like that's always been my sticking point with Edmonds. And, those tackles tonight were fun, but I just don't know if that can't be replicated elsewhere.
Let me ask you this. We always talk about Edmonds' age as being, and maybe this is a part of an episode. Now, I had the State of the Buffalo Bills address with Greg Thompson, Ryan Lasel, Drew Gear, and Rico. The other day, and we were talking about Edmonds, and I went back and watched the tape, and I was like, it's a lot of the things that, it's a lot of the things that he does that don't show up in the stat sheet that are actually that I enjoy. That are things that a rookie coming in as a cheaper option won't know. He won't know to do that immediately, which will give a lot of flexibility to your secondary and your defensive line. My question is this. We talked about his age as being one of the selling points of why you would get him a 7-year deal, 8-year deal, and just load it up over $100 million. What if he went the other direction with it and only signed like a 4-year deal for like
free agency again?
For $57 million, because then when he hits free agency again, he's
27,
28. So what if the Buffalo Bills and Bean worked out a deal where, listen, okay, we're going to give you a 4-year deal, $60 million. That doesn't break the bank to try to sign anybody else, and you could still draft somebody if you wanted to.
Yeah,
and it overlaps Milano's contract as well.
Yeah, I mean, I get it, right? I get it. I still don't foresee a universe to where that's where his agent is going. I don't think his agent would accept that as reasonable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Even if they build in 2 voidable years and make it 70 million?
Nope. His agent's not going to see that as reasonable. No.
What if it's a Kirk Cousins lace deal where it's guaranteed more?
This isn't baseball, right? Where it's a fully guaranteed contract. The fact of the matter is, in baseball, you see guys sign 4- and 5-year deals and jump from team to team because the contracts are fully guaranteed. Football is a game of attrition. Tremaine Edmonds is one slip down a flight of stairs away from his football career being over, right? Like you can't, it is not the same. It is not the same. Team-friendly deals do not exist. This is a business. And when you're 23, you can call the shots like that.
Yeah, I was just trying to put it on the other side of it to try to see that if that were the case, where a lot of these guys, they want their second deal to be huge because their third deal is when they're in their 30s. Edmonds has an option where his third deal won't be in his 30s, and he'll still be able to get paid for production of it, of like the year 28 to 32. I saw the Pay Poyer guys are out as well. Even though we all knew that he didn't catch that, guys. If you guys were getting mad about that interception, he didn't catch it.
No, I get it. I get it.
Jessica Tennis comes into the chat immediately. 7 years, 105, 45.
Well,
17.
yeah, Jessica was just mentioning that the salary cap's going to be around $250 million next year. And, as that is true, right? We're going to continually see perennial increases, but along with that, draft picks get more expensive because they get a percentage of that salary cap increase. And Buffalo did a bunch of restructures, which helped this year, but hurt next year and hurt future years. That's what happens. So you're pushing your chips a little bit in the middle of the table right now. To just talk about the contracts real quick, they restructured Tre'Davious White. Everybody goes, "Oh, that's OBJ money." Probably
is it though?
I don't think so. I mean,
No.
I look at it this way, right? You added John Brown to the practice squad, so he's not counting towards your salary cap right now. No. But at some point, you're going to have to activate a player because you just put Vaughn on IR, right? And when Vaughn comes back, you're going to have to cut a player. Like, you're not always going to have a player to put on IR to replace a player that's coming off IR. So you have to have more than $300,000 in salary cap space to absorb some dead money. So Buffalo had to restructure Tre'Davious White. They needed about $1 million just to be able to cut and waive players on the active roster for the rest of the year. So
and those add up, guys. I mean, that always happens with some of the stuff, and it could have been at some point sweetening the pot for another team just to say, hey, listen, we don't have to explain that we don't have any money this year. We do have a few bucks in the bank, but if those cuts and call ups and stuff like that, that's what happened. As far as OBJ is concerned, initial reports were that he's looking for a multi-year deal, like 2-3 years at least, not a 1-year flyer just to try to win a title. So I don't know how that's going to work. He's 29, I believe. I think he's 29, coming off an ACL, which baffles me why he's so coveted in that respect. Like we
Super Bowl champion.
We saw the game he was having, though. I mean, we saw the game he was having. The other, in talking about Edmonds, though, is the linebacker the running back of the defense, Paul, as far as contracts go with these guys?
I'm
just
come on, Mario. Come on now.
I'm just very curious.
Let me put it to you this way. They make those guys every year, right? they make those guys every year, and specifically in zone-based systems, right? A lot of times what happens is it's hard to get a linebacker from college to adapt into a zone-based system because a lot of linebackers play what in college, Mario?
Safety.
Yeah, right. You're looking at
you're getting a safety that didn't run a 4.4. You're getting a safety that ran a 4.5 to a 4.6.
Right.
That's maybe 225, 230 pounds.
Yeah. And Edmonds
has it up here.
And Edmonds is a little bit of a different animal in that respect because he was an outside line. It was really would have been a defensive end in a 3-4 system, right? Or an outside would have been those outside linebackers, outside linebacker. Yeah, it would have been an outside linebacker. So a little bit of a different fit.
He's
right.
Simpson. Jeez, I don't know if I'd go that far, but the point is this: in the new nickel scheme that they run, not new, I'm sorry, just the nickel scheme that they run, where it's not technically a 4-3 where he's in the middle of a defense,
right?
He is more naturally at a spot now that he's comfortable with being on one side of the line as far as his alignment and stuff. I know he lines in the middle sometimes. Milano still does that as well. Even Teron Johnson lines up in there sometimes with what's going on. So that being said, Jessica Tennis comes in and says Bobby Wagner is being paid $10 million a year. Edmonds is younger, faster, stronger at this point. Yeah, Edmonds is eyeballing that 15. It's not so much that Edmonds wouldn't get 15, 16 mil a year at minimum. It's the length of the deal that's going to be.
I agree.
A 7-8 year deal. Like, what are you talking about here?
So I agree. I do want to point out because we got a couple comments about it. We probably should go back and just talk about it. First off, I do want to talk about the offense a little bit more.
Yes.
But the ejection. Can we talk about that now, right? Because I can't really be mad at Damar Hamlin for laying a hit to stop a touchdown, right? But I think this game was an interesting highlight in the rules because you have the Jordan Poyer interception on the sideline, hits the ground. The ball doesn't hit the ground, but it does shift, and that indicates that he didn't have possession. Everybody's familiar with that rule, but you don't always really like it. And then you have the Damar Hamlin hit, which again, bang, bang, right? No
Yeah.
intent to hit. And I don't know how you could call, I guess my definition of defenseless is different, right? I didn't see Jacoby Myers as defenseless, but I guess my definition of defenseless is different than the NFL's. When you saw that hit,
Yeah.
did you think it was going to be a defenseless receiver hit, or did you see Damar Hamlin just lay some wood and break up a touchdown?
When I heard it, I think when we heard the sound, that's what initiated everything.
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
the sound of it, if it was muffled, I don't think that's a defenseless receiver hit because he popped right up. Hamlin popped right up. Poyer popped right up. Everyone was like, okay, yet there's laundry on the field. Paul, I have covered, studied, coached, and played the game of football for 30 years. Played 4 years of college, played semi-pro. I don't know what it catches anymore. I can't tell you what it catches anymore. The ball shifts, the ball moves. Oh, but if you're under control, the ball's allowed to move. Like I don't understand how that works. My classical definition is if you catch the ball and you get 2 feet down, he had it into his chest. Like the ball hit the ground and moved while he was out of bounds. It seems like by that time the catch had already been completed. Does it like the amazing one was the one that we saw a long time ago. The first one that started all of this was the Megatron. I think they were playing the Bears. He caught the ball, had it in one hand, put that hand on the ground with the ball and spun it, but didn't stand back up yet. But he obviously caught the ball, and they said, no, he didn't complete the catch all the way through. And I go, oh. And then, like I said, Garn even comes in. Ground cannot cause a fumble. Well, it's not technically a fumble because he's out of bounds, plays over. I think like that's why I don't understand what a catch is and what a catch isn't. Right. You have to make a football move. Well, you know what? Not everybody has a circle button or an R1. You know what I mean? It's like
no hits. There's no hit stick in real life.
Really, yeah. But as far as that goes, as far as the Hamlin hit, number one, I don't think he should have got ejected for it.
Yeah.
Number two, when they showed the back angle coming from where the ball was thrown, you see him do this. Like he scrunches his shoulder up to try to dislodge the ball. He's not trying to kill the guy.
Right.
But that is one of those hits where in the future, this is the fallout of it. This is what I don't like. The future of his hits now are going to be examined more than anybody's because of he got 3 for the Bills. Yeah, he's the one that got ejected for defenseless receiver hit. That's all they're going to talk about. They're not going to talk about the gravity of it. They're going to talk about, hey, whoa, so who'd he hit? Did the guy, was he out for? No, he wasn't out. He popped right up, went back to the sideline, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So that's going to follow him. So that kind of stigma I don't like about Hamlin, even though he is a very aggressive player. I don't agree what's going to happen in the future with him.
You know, I remember when the defenseless receiver, rules came and the initial interpretation of the rule was if a guy is unable to defend himself, right? So like I remember, back in the early 90s, receivers would go up for the ball and the safety would undercut them, right? In midair. And the guy would spin like a top, right? That's a defenseless receiver. Fully stretched out, no way to defend themselves. That's a defenseless receiver. At some point, though, you have to take into account that his job's to catch the ball.
Yeah.
Right. So I don't get it. The broadcast agreed with the call, which again, I don't get it. I didn't think there was any intent there. He was going for the ball, in my opinion. So again, I don't get it. I'm glad it happened late in the game, right? Last thing we needed was allowing Cam Lewis to let them get back in the game. But
I'm done with you.
You like that one?
You know what? I don't understand. Just one more point on the on the Hamlin hit. I don't agree with a lot of the stuff that he does, but Tom Brady was quoted in saying one time, he said, "Listen, because of the rule changes and how the changes are like that,
Mm.
it takes the responsibility off of the quarterback somehow."
Mm.
Where they're putting these guys in harm's way that would have gotten killed 10, 15 years ago
Yeah.
because they know they can't get hit.
Yep.
And therefore, it's causing a lot of this sloppy football where guys are
Mhm.
getting cracked
Mhm.
and guys are getting ejected because the quarterbacks, they're taught that way to do that.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, you put that right there. He's not gonna. I mean, years back in the day when I was a quarterback, you weren't supposed to put your receiver in harm's way.
Mhm.
You had to literally position a ball. If a guy was going to be coming at him, you were supposed to drop it lower so he didn't take a hit up high, or he's out extended like this, and his
Yeah.
ribs are dead. They don't do that anymore.
Mm-mm.
Quarterbacks just put it wherever the hell they want because they know nothing's going to happen from it.
Mhm.
So
I do want to get to some shout outs. Of course, thank you, Bills
yes,
PR. First
absolutely.
off, Jordan Phillips did leave the game with a shoulder while he was chasing Mac Jones around like a toddler with an adult cell phone. It was really challenging to watch that for me. But Jordan Phillips ended up laying out, trying to get Mac Jones. Landed awkwardly on his shoulder. Looks like an AC joint sprain to me. Just throwing that out there. Josh Allen becomes the first player in NFL history with 3 seasons of 25 passing TDs and 5 rushing TDs. I'm shocked by that. I thought Young would have had that, but Josh Allen's the first player in NFL history
You
with
probably had
3
3 or
seasons.
4, but not 5. That's what they
Okay.
made specific with that.
Okay.
That's weird.
Yeah, 25 and 5 rushing TDs. Let's see here. Diggs had 91 receptions on the season, breaks his own record in the first 12 games from 2020. He had 90 that season. Bills, 5 they have 5 drives of over 90 yards for a touchdown so far this season, which is just an incredible number, to be honest with you. And let's see here. What else? Nothing really else that's super important. Diggs was at 10 touchdowns this year for him.
Yes. And also the stat of the night that you forgot about.
What?
Bill's still undefeated when Josh Allen hurdles. And again, did he just seem like today he was like playing backyard football?
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
really did.
it seemed relaxed today, right?
Yeah.
It just seemed like there were times where he made really poor decisions, right? Like shovel pass over a cornerback, for example, a touchdown, tiptoeing the sideline while he jumps and throws it across the field in front of 3 Patriot defenders. None of these were wise, all of which paid off. But
I'll be that guy though. I'll be that guy. I'll be the guy.
all
If
right.
here, and you're gonna hear this, and you may have been tweeted out. It may get tweeted out. If Patrick Mahomes did both of those plays, Nick Wright would have lost his mind.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Yeah, that checks out.
All right. Awesome from V Man. $5 coming in. Anybody see Pats fans resorting to pulling the rings card? Oh, that's always goes to show how pathetic they've become as a fan base and a team. I think they're going to pull the fan card. I think they'll do that, just because of the fact that the ones that are pulling the card are 25 and younger.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the ones that are going to pull that card. And thank you for the $5 donation. All donates, super chats will go to the Williams Syndrome Foundation, the hashtag sports charity of the 2022 season. So thank you so much, V Man.
Oh, Dia Forever is talking Super Bowl with the Bills. Hey, it's a good time to talk to Mr. Rogers Holmes because Sean is in the Valley of the Sun. That's where the Super Bowl is this year.
Yes, and Paul, I think that's a game that we got to go to and cover live. Just saying, I'm just putting it out there for you.
Yeah. Okay. Whose house are the 6 kids staying at, Mario?
Who said what they're going?
So this game was fascinating to me. I do want to talk about the Jets game a little bit because as you see what Buffalo did here, I don't think they put a ton on tape for the Jets, right? They were pretty much in control. So this was at times, they didn't end up in any weird, 4th and shorts or 3rd and shorts. They never really were at risk of anything in this game. They punted a bunch. They didn't do anything weird. Like, sometimes Belichick, when he's up big in a game, will do weird stuff like run a fake punt, for
For
absolutely
no
no
reason.
reason. Right.
No.
Yeah, we didn't see any of that. But people are all up in arms about how great Mike White was. I want to point out that the last time Mike White started a game prior to last week, where they did beat the Chicago Bears 31-10, the last start Mike White had was against Buffalo. He was 24 for 44 for 251 yards and 4 interceptions. He had a 33.4% quarterback rating.
Ooh, what? Was that 2 years ago?
It was last year.
Oh, it was last year.
It was last year.
End of the
And
year.
no, week 9. Bills won 45-17.
Oh boy.
And yeah, and this is why I am not worried about anything the Jets are going to do. Right,
Well, no,
the receiving talent is good. Right, don't get me wrong. And Mike White looks like in much more control of the offense than Zach Wilson.
Yeah.
But the truth is, we've seen the Mike White show before. Buffalo gobbled him up and ended his run as a starter. Like ended it.
Yeah, I think Eddie Jackson got hurt in that game, I believe, and they weren't disguising much. The Jets, I mean, Mike White had great vision on what was coming. And I think that the Buffalo Bills, above all the other things that they do, is that they disguise their coverages very, very well.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't know what's coming and who's
Right.
coming and what's going on.
Yeah.
As far as the offensive line of the New York Jets, I would like to say that it's better than the New England Patriots. So trying to generate pressure with 4 might be a little tough. So yeah, I'm interested to see how this. Once again, I'll say that this game will be a little bit closer than people think. They may throw the ball a little bit more than they did with Wilson. But that being said, I'm not worried about the Jets, especially when you have 10 days to prepare for them.
Mm-hmm.
They'll have a great game to watch, and the Jets versus the who they play, the Vikings. They'll have them watch that. So the Bills will be able to watch that game, sit back, relax. But this little mini bye week is so huge for them. Is 100%. So then, Paul, what do you do then? Do you think that the Jets game will be very, very similar to this Patriot game, where you won't have to put a lot on tape going in to see the Dolphins?
You mean the up until tonight, the AFC East leading Dolphins?
Yeah, it's the second Thursday in a row that the Bills are first in the East, and will probably be over. Well, no, they're playing the Niners this week. I got the Niners beating the Dolphins this week.
V-Man comes back. To be fair, 2022's roster is 100 times superior. Yeah, I agree with that.
Yes,
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
For the Jets,
for the Jets, wholeheartedly.
100%.
Yeah. So, no, I do think that, again, we saw some personnel stuff that was unique tonight. And I think you'll continue to see that develop, right? And I think one of the reasons that you do that is because, one, you always need to change your offense, right? We talk about it all the time. Your offense needs
100%.
needs to evolve. And Dorsey hasn't really ever had to be innovative with personnel packages. And now you're going to start seeing it. And that's why one of the reasons why I think John Brown is such a big signing, especially going into these division games, because, Mar, you and I talked about this very briefly, but we've seen Gabe Davis struggle a bit, right? And tonight, I think was a great example that Gabe in a phone booth is not elusive, right? Like he pulled a double move and then lost the ball. Josh Allen had that throw right up the right sideline. Gabe Davis catches that, he's gone, right?
Yeah, his hips seem a little tight, don't they?
Ball was a little high. Yeah, he's just not in and out of breaks great, but that's not really new for Gabe. Like,
no.
He's not quick like that. Right.
What I like is the possibility of putting both Knox and Davis on the inside, and then putting Diggs and Brown on the outside.
Yeah, it's it's a personnel change for me, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you. Yeah. So when you're looking at your 4 receivers, right, and you're looking at Knox, Brown, Davis, and Diggs, you're a better football team than you were the week before that, right? You are, even though John Brown has spent he's been on 4 teams since he left Buffalo.
Yes.
He didn't leave Buffalo because of ineffectiveness. He left Buffalo because he thought he was worth more money than he was going to get. Buffalo asked him.
Yeah, I remember that last year of his deal.
Yeah.
They told him to take a cut, and he didn't.
Yeah,
do it.
And he said no, and then he bounced around to 4 teams. So Again, it's not that teams don't find value in John Brown. He's been on for like 3 to 4 teams since he left Buffalo. Teams find value in John Brown. I think he's more valuable to Buffalo from a personnel standpoint.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we've talked about that before, that there are certain players that are more valuable in Buffalo than they are somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
And John Brown is one of those guys. I mean, he's more valuable to the Bills than he is somewhere else. I don't know how much has changed. I mean, that is a great point to bring up, because we quoted John Brown many times saying that this is, when Dable was here, this is one of the most complex offenses he's ever played in. And this is a guy that played for Bruce Arians.
Mm-hmm.
So then if he comes in and he's able to pick up what's going on with Dorsey immediately, either they didn't change that much, or Dorsey's offense is a lot easier to figure out, which scares the living daylights out of me.
Mm-hmm.
So that is something that to watch on, unless Brown's just on the outside running just deep nines. Then,
well, and and that's the thing is, we've seen Gabe have to play that X receiver role, right? That outside receiver role, and he's got the size to be able to do it,
Yes.
But Gabe Davis helps your running game more being in the slot, right? Because he's a pretty good run blocker. So him being in the slot is a better look than a player like Shakir or McKenzie. But from a personnel standpoint, if you have Gabe Davis, John Brown, and Stephon Diggs, they're all X receivers. You don't know which one could go into the slot.
Exactly.
Right. And you have to play them each differently. You're not going to play Diggs in the slot the same as you would play Davis in the slot, is the same as you would play Brown in the slot. It makes your offense very dangerous. And it seems like a minor change, but to defensive coordinators and middle linebackers and safeties, it's maddening to have to deal with that all game.
Yeah, and we talked about it quite a bit with, even if you have Davis on the outside and Brown on the outside, is the fact that they stretch the defense in different ways. Now, John Brown, I think it's that someone put it in the chat. I think John Brown could still burn. I think he's still a guy whose speed you have to at least acknowledge, if not respect, in the league. So I think that's fine. That's 100% fine. DF has been roasting us the entire day in the chat, by the way.
Hey man, it's late. What you gonna do?
It's late for him as well. But I
mean, that the tequila rose kicks in sooner or later.
Tequila rose, DF, he just throw the gauntlet down on you. So I mean, we went over a little bit of the offense, went over a little bit of the defense. What the addition of John Brown, although sneaky by many means, because he did have some success in this offense for the Buffalo Bills, and playing across from Stephon Diggs. We talked about it. He was the 1A receiver, and then they traded for Diggs, and we're like, whoa, they got Beasley, Brown, and Diggs. Whoa, this is nice. And then Davis started to emerge.
Yep.
Now that Davis has been the two, could Davis transition to another role, as far as a slot role, or not always put him there when you have to run the ball, because he is a better blocker, but the fact that Singletary and Cook are getting more and more carries, and the Buffalo Bills are not having this lightning quick score in 3.5 minutes offense, which the 9-minute drives are the ones that are more sustainable, guys. And those are the ones that you're going to need come playoff time. I mean, everyone wants to make a big deal. Oh, the Bills are 16-1 in blowouts, and they're 4-9 in close games. What do you think all of the playoff games are?
Yeah.
All of those are close games. So the fact that they're playing games that are tighter than usual, you get situational awareness. You get that experience. You get guys, especially guys like Quisenberry and Brown, you're getting those guys more experience in those tighter games. So they're not, mentally somewhere else. Oh, we're up by 30. What do I care? Blah, blah, blah. If you need a history lesson on that, go watch the Texans-Dolphins game this past week. You know what I mean?
Oh, my God.
They were completely done at halftime.
Yeah. Yeah, completely done. Completely
I like what they're doing, and I if they don't blow out another team, I don't care. It doesn't bother me. The fact that you need one more point, that's all I care about.
Yeah.
After you get that, I don't care.
I'm very curious to look at the last 4 games versus the start of the season, and look at scoring efficiency. So how many points per drive are they scoring? Because yes, the drives seem to be taking longer, but they don't seem like wasted minutes. right?
No, they don't.
So I'm very curious if Buffalo has just figured out, listen, 45 points is great, but when the other team's only scoring 12,
Right.
why are we killing ourselves here?
Exactly.
Right? Why?
Exactly.
Because all you're doing is you're making it harder on your defense. Because yeah, you score 45 points, and you get pissed in the third quarter when when your defense has been on the field for 27 minutes at that point. And you're like, what the hell? Why are we letting teams back in games? Well, you're letting teams back in games because your offense is only giving your defense a 2.5 minute break. And then they score 65-yard touchdown, and then they got to go back out on the field. And then they get run down for 6 minutes, and then Buffalo comes out and they score another 3.5 minute touchdown, and then the defense gets dragged again for another 7 minutes. Like it's part of the game that I think is important mid-season management, because you gotta. This is part of keeping your players fresh. Is you have to sometimes lean on your offense to gobble up some clock, because your defense hasn't been in a good spot for the last month.
No, it hasn't. I think that's one of the transitions that they were trying to do, but Dorsey, having the inexperience as a play caller, was having trouble with that and struggling with that, where maybe he was trying to call more run plays and eat up some clock, but Allen was adjusting those plays, saying it's not open.
Right.
They're planning for that. No, I got to call a pass here. And then that's where he's trying to force something in order to try to stay on the field to give his defense some rest. I think once the defense starts to get a little bit healthier, especially in the back end where the back seven, so to speak. We saw a little bit of it tonight with Trey White, but I think that if that goes, they could start trying to light up the scoreboard a little bit more, because they're like, listen, we want to force teams to be one-dimensional. We want them to pass against us because that's how our defense is built. Here's what we're going to do. But, however, if one of the key components is we're trying to force them to pass, but our number one pass rusher is out for a month now, maybe we shouldn't. Maybe we should try to force them to run. So let's keep the game a little close so they still run. You know what I mean?
Well, and a lot of positives, right? So, unfortunately, Trey White actually left this game with a stinger, re-entered later, right?
He went in the tent. Yeah, he was in the tent.
Right. So these are things that you need to have happen. Xavier Rhodes played really well tonight. Like you can't knock the secondary for anything tonight, right? Like overall, they shut down what they had to shut down,
Yeah.
So it besides the health of the offensive line, which is just continuously in peril. Yeah, just continuously in peril. There's a lot of positives to build off of. Primarily, you won. And the Jordan Phillips injury could be a scary one, right? Shoulder.
Yeah,
that's a big like that's a big man.
Big shoulder.
That's a big man.
I want to know what Bonds has against Singletary. This is getting a little weird now. How long would it take for Singletary to get back to Buffalo on foot? Asking for a friend. Not really sure. I don't know. I like what Singletary's been doing. You haven't heard a word out of him. There's no locker room craziness. He's in a contract year as well. He's not saying anything. He goes out there, he has his 4 yards in a cloud of dust.
Yep.
And he's been playing the running back position in pass pro. That's what I love most about him. I mean, he runs hard. Angry Singletary running is better than regular Singletary running. I love it because when Cook broke off a couple runs in the first quarter, angry Singletary came in and he was just a rhino in there. He's like, I'm getting these yards. I don't care. So, I want to go over this real quick before we got a couple of minutes left before we start the roast. Mr. Vega, what's going on with the Ka'ir Elam benching?
Yeah.
This caused a lot of people to bring up Breece Hall again. When the Buffalo Bills had the choice either to go with Breece Hall or Ka'ir Elam. First round running backs, guys.
I don't want to talk about that.
First round running backs out of the top 10? No.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I don't want to talk about that.
But I think it's the Buffalo Bills, being McDermott, Frazier, Dorsey, those guys know the players there better than any of us will. So, like I just talked about with angry Singletary, I think Singletary gets pissed when Cook does well because that's taking money out of his pocket and staying in Buffalo. So I think that's when he runs a little bit better, and it's almost like motivation. Elam could be the type of player that has had stuff handed to him his entire football life And now that he gets benched, maybe that's a wake up call to the kid. We don't know. I don't know the personality of the kid. I don't know the psychology of what's going on in one Bills drive, but that's what it seems like to me. A first
So
round pick, you bench.
so I think, well,
I don't know.
first off, let's remember what week it is.
Yes.
Elam has had to play this entire season because you didn't have Trey White and you
Yep.
were digging for corners, right? So when Elam was healthy, he was playing a lot of snaps. And these college football players, they get the first 8 games at full speed. Because remember, they don't have an off season, their rookie season. They
No.
go from playing college football to training for the combine to in the they get a month and a half off between the draft and mini camp, right? And then they have mandatory rookie mini camps, and then they have regular OTAs, and then they have the preseason, and then they have the NFL season. And by week 8 or 9, these rookies are dragging because
Yep.
their body's been on full go for a year straight, right? So Elam being a healthy scratch doesn't really bother me. First off, today they played a lot of zone concepts. Of course, you would against a Bill Belichick offense, right? You play a lot of zone concepts, and Elam isn't exactly a pristine zone corner yet. You have Xavier Rhodes, and you got Tre'Davious White. You can healthy scratch clear Elam,
Yeah.
right? Because
Yeah.
of the corners that you have eligible, right? You've got Dane Jackson, you've got Xavier Rhodes and Trey White. Elam's your 4th zone corner at that point. So why? So just give the kid a break, right? Since here's a fun stat for you, right? Last week against the Lions, 13 coverage snaps, 1 target, no receptions, a 39.6 passer rating. Granted, against Jared Goff. However, Elam hasn't allowed more than 35 yards in a single game since week 5.
Wow.
Right. That's a fun stat. It makes the healthy scratch not make sense.
Well,
But
you're
this
saying he's tired. Are you trying to give him a break?
I'm saying that this is there's no rookie rest days, right? Rookies get
No.
healthy scratched,
No. Okay.
and there's nothing wrong with that. So people trying to make this more than it is. This kid's a Boy Scout. Like there's nothing behaviorally going on. Rookies get torched. So just you're playing zone concepts. He's your 4th zone corner at that point because it's not exactly in his tool belt yet. Just let the kid go on this one. And he's got 11 days.
Yes.
Give him the break. Give him the break. Miami, Belichick's just going to run the ball as much as he can anyway.
Yeah.
Stevenson's the only weapon that offense has besides Devontae Parker, who again, I just watched Devontae Parker just be disinterested in playing football. He couldn't have looked more bored tonight. Devontae Parker looked totally bored. No, Devontae Parker. He looked completely bored tonight.
Oh, yeah. Half the offense did. Like, they didn't even want to be there. They're like,
no.
Do we really have to do this?
Yeah, 3 minutes left. They're in the red zone. You just see everybody just like standing around like, well, this doesn't matter.
What's Mac doing now?
Yeah, and then Mac Jones runs for 145 yards backwards.
Yeah. To get things started as far as tonight goes, Allen was quoted in saying, from a reliable source, "We're in Gillette Stadium. I'm a Gillette guy. I think people understand Gillette's a great sponsor to have, but I know where this stadium's at, who plays here, and the fans here." That was partly the reason he took the sponsorship.
Yeah. Listen, good for him, right? If they're paying for his home theater, if Gillette's paying for his home theater, good for you. Good for you,
that is pretty amazing. So, ladies and gentlemen, hashtag Nation and Bills Mafia. We, like I said, you can find all of our socials on our link tree, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, as well as iTunes and Spotify. Tonight's show is sponsored by Mr. Rogers Homes in association with DeanBlundell.com. Buffalo Bills with a 24-10 victory over the New England Patriots, securing their first divisional win of the season and tying the Miami Dolphins with their conference record as well. Both 6-2 in the conference, and that won't change for the Dolphins this week because they're playing the Niners. So just to give you guys a heads up on some of those things. We are at the mark where when the Bills win, we roast. So you can roast DS been doing it all day, so he's out. No, I'm just kidding. It's a 3-minute timer. You guys you can roast us, the Patriots, the Bills, anything you want. But yeah, I know you'd love that. But I mean, before we get on to the roast, I hope all of you have a very safe and enjoyable Victory Friday for the Buffalo Bills.
2 in a row.
I know, 2 in a row.
2 victories, 2 Victory Fridays in a row.
I apologize to the gentlemen out there that have to do DIYs the last weekend and this weekend because there's no Bills game on Sunday. So,
I have a feeling it's going to be Billy B's for me on Sunday, buddy.
Billy B's.
Yeah, the Walden Galleria Mall. It's a gigantic indoor playground and everything's padded. So we just let those animals that live in my house.
You let me know when you go because I'm bringing them too.
Will you? Do you want to go?
100%. Yeah.
Look at this.
Billy
Date
B's,
night. Date night with Mario.
Let's go.
Yeah, they don't serve beer there. That's the only downside.
They
don't serve beer.
My kids don't drink that much anyway. So.
Woo!
You're welcome.
Yeah.
So here we go. Elliot, this season's been a slow transformation from Mario into Phil Mickelson. I wish I had his short game. I really do. That would be amazing.
Don't say it, Paul. Don't say it.
Oh,
don't say it.
Enough of you.
Listen.
Bonds Goat? What did Bonds Goat say? Mario talks about all the picks he threw when he played QB. If Singletary was playing defensive back, he would have Mario look like Aaron Rodgers. Oh, no. No,
it's funny because there's so many times where Singletary goes out and they throw it to Singletary and I just hear don't throw it to Stone Hands. I just hear it in the back of my head.
Guys, I'm wide open. They know you're never gonna throw it to me. I'll catch it.
Ouch. Steve Hampton, Paul's lighting makes him look like Wednesday Addams. That is tough.
Isn't that on Netflix now? Isn't Wednesday on Netflix?
Yeah, it is. It is. It's actually really good. I gotta be
Necessary roughness. Nice, Paul. Yeah. It's you know what's crazy is the fact that Featherstone became Alvin Mack in the program. That just baffles me to this day. Featherstone became Alvin Mack in the program.
Yep.
2 wrongs don't make a right. Take Paul and Mario, for example.
That's right. That's right.
No, we cancel each other out. We have some positive things here, except for COVID. No positive COVID. Okay. What's with the Dolphins color scheme on the live stream? Are you colorblind, Jim? Because you remember that Bills Jets game they had like 4 or 5 years ago?
Oh, the red green game.
Yeah,
they ran out there in their color rush jerseys, and people who are
Christmas.
People who are red green colorblind. They're like, "What's wrong with my TV?" Hitting the TV.
Oh my God! Trek reviewer coming in with the daggers. Paul is the white version of Robert Foster, and Mario is hashtags Bobby Hart.
But Bobby Hart got pulled off the field today because he was so bad that they wheeled Quisenberry back out there with one leg. One leg Quisenberry got to beat out Bobby. Bobby Hart played like 4 snaps and got torched on every single one of them.
We told y'all about Bobby Hart.
Yep.
Someone did a hold my beer thing on Twitter with Bobby Hart. They're like, hey, Quisenberry can't go in. He's playing awful. Bobby Hart, hold my beer.
Mario's the Fitz magic of the show. I think Mario would take that as a compliment. Take that as
minus the beard. I am 100% Fitz magic. I don't have 17 kids though.
Does he have that many?
He's got a lot.
Really?
I think he's got like 6, 7, maybe. I'll have to look that up. I'm not sure. Fitzy's got some kids. Fitz Magic's. Do you remember when he was in Tampa and he did what he always does? He's the backup, and then the starter goes down. Then he plays really well until he gets
the typhoid Mary of every single organization he's ever played in. Yeah. No, I'm totally aware.
And then he put on Deshaun Jackson's like gold in his suit. And he was answering questions. He goes, "Hey guys, we just gotta stay humble. We just gotta take it one day at a time." He's amazing.
If you haven't seen the video on Bill's PR, it's like a minute and a half of Josh Allen and Ryan Fitzpatrick hanging out and talking. It's not very long, but it is really good. And it is very clear how Fitzmagic kept going from organization to organization and always being a leader. Like, it is just clear as day that he easily would relate to a football player. Like people would want to play football.
Oh yeah.
It's clear as day. Clear as day. Bonds GOAT 25. I knew something was going to happen when Singletary hired Gabe Davis to be his catching coach.
Oh, stop it.
You know what? I tell you what,
Bonds is
all
coming
this
in
Gabe,
hot.
all this Gabe Davis slander would not have been accepted weeks 1 through 3 of this year.
No, God no. But
Nope.
he earned it.
It's gotten rough.
He's like what 18-19% drop percentage or something like that.
Huge. Yeah.
It's bad.
Huge.
It's bad. All right. So once again, for Paul, I am Mario. This is Hashtag Sports. Hashtag Nation Bills Mafia. Enjoy your Bills victory Friday. We'd like to thank Joe for calling the game play-by-play tonight. It was pretty awesome. And all our sponsors, Mr. Rogers Homes in association with DeanBlundell.com. All of our socials, guys, go follow those. Davis on the hands team beyond ironic.
To be fair, Naveed, they do tell you just to fall on it. So it's not really the hands team; it's the just fall on it team. That's
you need Captain America. It's a grenade. Just fall on it. Everybody get away. All right. So Buffalo Bills are 9-3 going into week 13. So you guys enjoy it. And then also enjoy watching the Dolphins get beat by the 49ers because it's going to happen. All right. For Paul, I'm Mario. We're out of here. Have a good night, y'all.
Later.
Hello, fellow Bills fans. Sean Rogers, realtor and lead of the Mr. Rogers Homes team. Did you know that real estate is one of the best ways to build wealth, and right now is one of the best times to own an investment property in Arizona? Please reach out to me. I'd be more than happy to answer any of your questions so we can take the next step to your financial freedom here in the Valley of the Sun, utilizing real estate. As always, God bless America and go Buffalo!